Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Colton Ogburn, and these are all the Easter eggs, references, and little things you might have missed in Fallout Season 2, Episode 2. Now, this season is already off to a fast-paced, Easter egg-filled start, so let's get cracking. As the episode opens, the song playing here is You Belong to Me, sung by Joe Stafford. Now, this song fits the show's musical aesthetic, but the lyrics can indicate that no matter how much our protagonists try to change their fates, these major factions and corporations will always tug their little puppet strings and keep them under control.
We will start a new brotherhood with me as its head and the likes of you as its sword.
Now next we are shown the end of what would become the fall of Shady Sands, with little Maximus leading the way. The banner here says New California. Now, Shady Sands was a town originally composed of Vault 15 members post-war in New California who developed an infrastructure based on pre-war designs. Their industrial skills led Shady Sands to eventually become the first capital of the NCR. So we see a bunch of NCR troops patrolling with an NCR Ranger. Now, the NCR Rangers are a volunteer post-war military division shown in Fallout 2 and in Fallout New Vegas. What they do is peacekeep and monitor the NCR territory, taking care of threats deemed too difficult for the army. Now, Maximus's dad pumps out water hidden beneath the surface. This shows evidence of the developing infrastructure in the post-war period, assuring the water is radiation-free. But remember, from Season 1, Episode 8, Moldaver said the town found a way to siphon clean water from Vault 33. Now, here we see a two-headed cow, also known as Brahmin. Now, they're essentially a post-war species of mutated cattle. Like you see here, a Brahmin would be used the same way as a regular cow. In lore, they are called Brahmin because they are descended from the Indian Brahmin cattle variant that was imported to the US for crossbreeding. Now, the Fallout games got a lot of flack from the Indian community for not only mutating the cow, but using the Brahmin name. For reference, a Brahmin is a class member in Indian society associated with priesthood and scholars, and the cow is considered a holy animal. Because of this, at the time, Microsoft didn't release Fallout 3 in India on the Xbox 360. Okay, so next, coming in, we see a NCR foot soldier chanting,
"Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter."
Now, this line is often uttered by the NCR NPCs, so much so that it became a meme. Now, initially we can assume it's the show kind of poking fun at the NPC that the soldier is being, but the specific chanting could be a result of experimentation. Robert House, and no, not his brother Anthony, yes, we saw the comments, he has attached the prototype mind control device that we saw him working on earlier onto this trooper. Now, the bomb here is the Mark 28 from Fallout 4. These were pre-war bombs dropped from planes, but in Fallout 4, Liberty Prime uses them as their primary weapon. Now, to save him from the bombs, Max's parents put him in a fridge. We saw this in his backstory in Season 1. Now, this is also a nod to the Fallout 4 side quest, Kid in a Fridge. In this quest, you're investigating a ruined house and a kid pops out of a refrigerator, a child ghoul named Billy. Now, unlike Max, Billy tells the player character that he went into the fridge when the Great War happened and he was trapped in the fridge for 200 years. Max, however, was born after the Great War began in the near present. Now, there's another reference in Fallout New Vegas when outside of Good Springs, you see a fridge laying down with a skeleton in it and a gambler hat. This is also in and of itself a reference to Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where Indy hides in a refrigerator to survive a nuclear bomb. Now, the fridge itself is labeled for milk bottles. In Fallout 3 and in New Vegas, you can find milk bottles laying around as a miscellaneous item. In Fallout 4, milk vending machines were around the Commonwealth filled with empty bottles and used as a container in settlements. Also, just a quick shout out, this man right here, this is the GOAT. The GOAT! After the bomb goes off, the scene cuts to Hank washing his hands. Now, this action symbolizes him cleansing his guilt of what he just did to Shady Sands and to his family. Young Lucy asks,
"When's Mom coming back?"
Remember, Lucy's mom found out about the siphoning water and tried to escape the vault with their kids, and she ended up befriending Moldaver. Hank found out and bombed the town, leaving his wife to eventually turn into a feral ghoul. So Maximus's dad was part of the reason for how Hank discovered them, teaching us that in the wasteland, no good deed goes unpunished. This also means that Hank would have had access to Mr. House's tech years ago. He said in the last episode that Vault Tech didn't know he was there, so it seems that Hank's loyalties have always been to Mr. House. This NPC line falls true as the Fallout title is followed by a nuclear winter. Now, one of my favorite aspects of Fallout is seeing the lead up to the nuclear disaster and how the government and the corporations controlled the public by controlling the news. And I think you guys know that that is a really important topic for me. Mainstream media have a profit bias, and most of the news you see on social media is filtered to be tailored to your taste so that it only supports your existing bias. All of this means that it's really hard to stay informed about the world around us, and that is why if you want to cut through the bias and hear the real news, I recommend Ground News, the sponsor of this video. Ground News is an app and website that gathers related articles from across the world into one place, but they give you the context about the source's political leanings, their reliability, and their ownership. This means that you can see through the bias and think critically about the news you consume. For instance, here's a story about Meta winning an antitrust case. Headlines on the right use phrases like "technology is fast and the courts are slow," or how TikTok helped Meta get relief from court. But sources on the left were more fact-based and simply stated that this could have forced it to spin off Instagram and WhatsApp. Now, I can see how many sources reported on this story, how many of them lean left or right, and more importantly, who owns those news sources. Another thing I want to know is that the news isn't trying to sway me one way or the other, which they totally are. Now, Ground News, it's an incredible resource, and I have been looking for a service like Ground News for years. I highly encourage you to check them out, and if you go to ground.news/SC or click this QR code, you will get 40% off their Vantage plan, which includes unlimited access to every feature. Your subscription will not only help this channel, but you'll also be supporting an independent platform working to make the media landscape more transparent. Now, back to what I was saying. We then see what Maximus is up to with the Brotherhood of Steel. Last season ended with the Brotherhood of Steel crowning Max as a hero for seemingly taking down Moldaver. Quintus, the elder cleric of this Brotherhood of Steel chapter, the Knights of San Fernando, mentioned to Max that they can build together. He as the head and Max as the sword. Max is living up to that title here by taking out a bunch of ghouls, knocking over this NCR trooper skeleton, and grabbing the power source. Now, here we see an almost perfect recreation of the vertibird docking onto the Pridwin airship from Fallout 4. Everyone calls Max Mad Maximus, but Dane looks uncertain. Remember, Dane was the one who pronounced and paraded Max as the Slayer of Moldaver, but here they seem to be rethinking their joy over time, perhaps based on Max's change of personality. Max's power armor still has a slash on the emblem from Season 1, Episode 2, when Knight Titus was maimed in the suit. This symbolizes Maximus's uncertain allegiance with the Brotherhood of Steel, making us wonder, will he stay and fight in the Civil War, or will he leave and try to find Lucy? So Quintus then explains his plan of trying to reunite chapters of the Brotherhood of Steel, which would inherently make sense. The Brotherhood is a powerful faction, but scattered across the country. This would explain the higher than normal amount of airships that we are seeing in the Mojave. Now, this hangar of tech is Area 51, and it's very Fallout of them to hide Area 51 parts in a children's playground. Quintus says,
Together, we will fulfill our promise to make better this fallen world, my son.
Which is similar to Maximus's dad's final words.
As long as we leave it a little bit better than we found it.
Quintus is trying to replace Max's father as a manipulation tactic to keep him in the Brotherhood of Steel. This song playing here is Lazy Day Blues by Derek Scott and Burt Whedon. It plays on multiple radio stations in Fallout New Vegas. Switching over to our other characters, Lucy assumes the ghoul is hunting down his family for a happy reunion, asking him to be more polite.
I'm just saying a little bit of kindness can go a long way.
She doesn't know, however, that Barb betrayed Cooper and that the ghoul is most likely hunting her to at least question her or maybe even kill her. So Lucy discusses Charles Dickens with the ghoul, not knowing that he probably already knows A Christmas Carol.
Oh Jesus, for us Mises.
So as they run into the abandoned hospital, you can see this old version of an ambulance and in the back the words dead, dead, dead. The ghoul sees the person in trouble and says,
Tunics.
Now, based on what she's wearing, we assume that she is part of Caesar's Legion, most likely as a slave. Caesar's Legion is a major faction in Fallout New Vegas, predominantly in the Southwest. It's a totalitarian dictatorship modeled after the Roman Empire. They were imperialist and created a society built upon slavery and the conquest of tribal societies. They repurposed the ancient language, clothing, and social hierarchies of the Roman Empire to hold power after the apocalypse of the US. And next up, we've got ourselves a Rad Scorpion fight. Here we see a Bark Scorpion, a smaller, lighter version of the Rad Scorpion. And yep, Lucy definitely should not have survived that attack to her face, but that's okay. Oh, and here comes Big Daddy Giant Rad Scorpion with the steel chair. Now, after blowing up the Scorpion with a grenade, we see Lucy give her last stim pack, crazy low stim pack count by the way, to the tunicked woman. And the ghoul knows that this is a mistake. Now, this type of morally difficult decision making is the epitome of Fallout gameplay. Considering Lucy gets captured later, this really reiterates the law of the Wasteland. No good deed goes unpunished.
Golden rule, motherfucker.
Next, we see the awakened members of Vault 31, and I guess there were some side effects to these pods.
Should I be able to see by now?
These members kind of act like vault dwellers, just a bunch of cattle that needed to be herded, which is why they freak out when they hear Bud Askins is dead. Meanwhile, Hank seems to be trying to perfect the mind control tech, potentially not only to impress the mysterious man on the phone, but to use it for himself as well. We then cut to Area 51, and we see the Brotherhood of Steel go through the hangar and unveil a plethora of Fallout Easter eggs. We have a frozen Zaytan, an alien species that we see throughout the games. They quickly get over the alien, but hey, I guess a freezer is cooler.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
We have a shock baton from Fallout 3, Mothership Zeta, an alien blaster, plasma grenades, some ancient statues, potentially terracotta and Greek, blessing tools, a f***ing Ark of the Covenant looking thing, and is that a missing Rembrandt? The Declaration of Independence Nicolas Cage just left here, underneath a 14-star flag which was created to represent the Commonwealths and the federal government, and a cryolator, which was seen in Fallout 4 and Fallout 76. And oh my god, here's what looks like a red 1957 Thunderbird with some cool features added on, and there it goes. And it does make sense that they wouldn't understand what a car would be used for or would misinterpret any relics from pre-war times. It is interesting to note, however, that the Brotherhood of Steel claims to preserve this kind of pre-war tech, but proceeds to then test it in harsh conditions. Perhaps they've deemed cars useless without the manufacturing of gasoline. Now, in the barracks, Max passes some advice down to a young squire.
In order to make a big problem something you can handle, you gotta make it small.
This sounds like advice his dad would have given him earlier on. He then brushes his fingers over the scratches on this power armor, ruminating over his new position and philosophy.
Used to quote the codex to each other as a joke.
Now, Dane has seen how Max has changed over time after taking on this new role. He's become less sympathetic and more stoic than he used to be. Maximus has bought into the BOS message, but this is partially Dane's fault. Max was ready to leave the Brotherhood, but Dane gave him this glory and the duty followed. Dane now probably regrets hyping Maximus up back in the Season 1 finale. Now, Dane informs Max that Quintus is holding an assembly gathering the major chapters of the BOS behind the Commonwealth's back. And that's pretty dangerous, as it's assumed that the Commonwealth is a stronger and higher status chapter than theirs. The chapters assembled, and wow, that is a lot of airships. Max says,
If the Brotherhood can keep history from repeating itself.
But as Fallout constantly reminds us,
War never changes.
So they introduced the new Brotherhood chapters.
From the Grand Canyon, from Yosemite, from Coronado.
The Coronado head wears a gear similar to Proctor Quinlan from Fallout 4. We then see Lucy escorting the Tunic Woman back home, assumingly to the Legion base. The woman says,
You're a kindly profligate.
Now, a profligate is a term that the Legion uses to describe an outsider to the Legion or a person lacking in morals. Cutting back to the vaults, we see Norm making his father proud by enacting corporate incentives. Hank himself is waking members of the Premium Elite Plus plan, people who paid extra to be cushy during the apocalypse. Hank then explains that his family ideals through indoctrination to create the perfect post-war civilization, which is ironic considering that he blew up his wife. And now we have our official introduction to the Legion. We can see what looks to be radhog heads on a stick, giving a real Lord of the Flies vibe. The soldiers wear what's meant to be armor, but you can see a major part of their gear are pre-war American football uniforms. The song playing as the Vault 31 members escape is Accentuate the Positive from 1945. It was a popular song that played on the Diamond City radio in Fallout 4. The lyrics really resonate with Norm leading the charge of this bright-eyed, bushy-tailed team using their skills to get the answers that he needs. Now, as they make their way to the surface, Nerd Emoji Guy says,
"Oh man, the mall's gone."
They knew what was happening to their Earth when they chose to go below, but this type of indifference really emphasizes the focus of products over people. Now, when Max is goaded into having a fight, Quintus encourages it, feeding into his manipulation tactic. Now, once Maximus locks into his Brotherhood mentality, a surprise visitor joins in.
Eerie stillness chokes our lungs. What are you doing? You know you were creeping us out. You know that, right?
Kumail Nanjiani is playing Paladin Harkness from the Commonwealth. In Fallout 3, there is a synth named Harkness who was on the River City security force. This entirely different Harkness wears a coat similar to Elder Arthur Maxon. But because he's a Paladin, we're not sure which Elder he represents. Harkness's arrival could indicate two things. One, there is a mole within their Brotherhood chapter that alerted the Commonwealth to send over a representative, perhaps being Dane. And two, with variant ideologies and interaction with Harkness, Maximus can escape from being a pawn of Quintus. Now, the song playing over the credits is Let's Twist Again by Chubby Checker from 1961, and you know what? Yes, this ending was indeed a twist. The end credits show a Revenge of Brutus poster that we pointed out in the previous episode, and this one says starring Cooper Howard. So, just like how Season 1 expressed themes through Cooper's movie, A Man and His Dog 3, this season might do the same through this movie. Revenge of Brutus could allude to the Ghoul or Max coming to Lucy's aid and saving her from Caesar's Legion.
Et tu, Brute!
Now, here you can see a billboard that says Life in the Fast Lane, and there's actually a similar one to this in Fallout 4 that reads Life is a race, win. Here we see a stadium with the Legion faction banners up, and this is a good mix of classic American football stadium, but having the feel and design of the Colosseum, lending to the Roman Empire aesthetic. Now, along the side are some well-used NCR targets, and overall we can pretty much conclude that the Legion is the next big faction that both Lucy, the Ghoul, and perhaps the Brotherhood of Steel will be tangling with this season. Alright, well, I want to give a huge shout out, full credit to the writers of this video, Shrina D. Rao and Ethan Ng. And if we missed any Easter eggs or references, be sure to go yell at them down in the comments below. For ScreenCrush, I'm Colton Ogburn.